I got a chance to check out a new, very independent, very original horror movie, Necropath. Necropath was a years-in-the-making passion project from creator-director Joshua Reel. Before getting into movies, Reel wanted to flex his creative skills. His eye and mind for horror were utilized in an awesome attraction, KO Industrial Horror Realm. The interactive Halloween attraction is something people travel from all over to check out. In the off-season at KO, Reel also has an escape room. He describes his escape room more as an interactive story experience. I take that as more hints of his skill as a director. Necropath is a zombie movie, but it's sort of a zombie movie in reverse. Instead of following a band of survivors while they overcome the new terrible world they're in, Necropath follows Skag. Skag's a junkie turned into a zombie. The movie plays out in vignettes of Skag interacting with various survivors. The results are generally gory, but there is some hope, or maybe that's just a line that Reel wasn't sure he wanted to bring the audience across. The story itself, it's a little thin. While watching it, it didn't really occur to me that the story was thin. It only hit me afterwards when I was trying to describe what the movie was about. I think of the movie as a snapshot. It's kind of like 28 Days Later style zombie infestation in a city. The big Hollywood movie would find a band of survivors in the city center making their way to the last extraction chopper on top of some impossibly tall building they have to go up while facing various zombies. Instead, Reel takes his small crew to the outskirts of that city. And this is more likely where Skag would hang out anyway. Skag preys on the stragglers as they make their way into the depths of the city. The biggest takeaway I had from Necropath was that I didn't feel like I was watching a movie, or I didn't feel like I had watched a movie, but rather that I experienced something. I have no doubt you'll all feel that way too. We'll all have different takeaways, of course. You may be a horror junkie who loves Reel's fresh approach and brutal realism in a fantastical setting. You may like the attempt, but would have liked more of a solid story structure. You may even be disgusted. There are some great gore moments if that's your thing. If not, well, sorry. One last thing on the gore aspects of the movie is that there are no computer-generated effects in this movie at all. Everything was kept practical, which makes it have that much more feeling behind it. There are some big swings taken for a small-budget movie, and, like I said, of course, your thing, Necropath delivers. Along with the attention paid to the gore and practical effects, practical lighting was used. Reel mentioned this in this awesome interview I had with him. If you haven't seen that interview yet, get on it. The lighting was painstakingly set up on location to capture the surreal look of the movie. Handheld DSLRs were also utilized. Unconventional angles and shots were added to the mix to create a more visceral experience. And what was really cool about this is that Reel wasn't being pretentious when he came up with these angles. It's just what looked right to him. The sound editing is the final piece of the sensory overload puzzle. There's not so much a score as there's this general defining tone and some themes that just kind of eerily creep along the whole movie. The sound effects jump ahead of the soundtrack, and dialogue is so incredibly limited it almost isn't there at all. Underlaying all of that, every shot in the movie has these chaotic sounds in the distance, police radio calls, guns, everything. It kind of makes you uncomfortable while you're watching it, but it makes Skag's world feel that much more real. The depths of the sound effects disorient in a sense, but also makes you feel like you're on the outskirts of that very city we just talked about a minute ago. I had a really good time watching this movie. I was definitely intrigued because I was seeing something I had not seen before. Reel has a unique eye as a director, and his small cast and crew really swung for the fences on delivering a horror experience more than a horror movie. I'm willing to bet this is based on his background running a horror-themed event company, but maybe that's just how he's wired and the two endeavors are one and the same. As far as a movie, there could be something more of a plot, but the traditional plot tropes on the hero's journey, what does the lead want, how do they grow, etc., doesn't really fit with Skag's, and what he's about. I think any declarative statement that it was done wrong is nonsense, and you're really missing the point. I will say that if you're into filmmaking and or horror, you should check out Necropath. I promise you it's unique, and you'll have some sort of reaction to it. I personally hope Reel keeps making movies, since he's someone who didn't throw away the rulebook, he never bothered picking it up in the first place. Fresh vision is always welcome. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more new movie coverage and interviews. We have so much lined up, I can't possibly post it fast enough. You're not going to want to miss out. Remember to listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments or leave us something on social media. All of our accounts will be found after the show and in the show notes. Thanks.